Unfortunately, realizing that their cunning cover was rapidly deteriorating, the agents panicked and rushed back out again to find Larry inside the car and the roof attached. They thanked Larry for getting the roof back up again and wondered which of the many confusing switches he'd used to do that. Well, being significantly quicker on the brain than they were, Larry told them that it was voice activated and they just had to say the right words. As they hastily drove off, they were heard to be calling, "Hey, Siri, wind down the roof." And, "Hey, Siri, open the roof." "Alexis, take the roof off." Each time a little louder and progressively more aggressive. A few days later, the somewhat overheated agents returned to the tech node to ask Larry what exactly they should tell Siri, or something, in order to get the car roof down again. This time, though, nobody was there but Jethro Wilkes, who introduced himself as the trainer. When asked what he trained in, Jethro proudly declared that Wilkes has the knowing of the growing, of which they understood not one word. With everybody speaking slowly, loudly and using many hand signals, though, they learned that nobody was home. And, having just arrived, Jethro had no idea what Diggybeat were actually doing there. It all seemed very hush-hush and very technical. By way of conversation, though, Jethro asked if the top of their car was still holding on okay, as he knew all about their car roof being cut off, or at least he'd heard things over lunch. Something to do with a light beam experiment going wrong and almost chopping the heads off of you blokes who was driving past at the time. Then they went and glued it back on again. With a few more repetitions and some clever translation, they finally understood what had happened. And, after carefully checking the almost invisible roof repair, the agents asked if they could maybe use his phone to make a Zoom call. You must understand that neither Bobby nor Robbie were particularly bright, but they did know a potential weapon when they saw one. So using Jethro's phone, they discreetly Zoomed with their boss, and were very surprised to hear an irate senior security officer advising them that they had been reported missing twice, once on an international flight and then being drowned in a swamp. They were both officially declared MIA, and would they care to explain, please? That very evening, a somewhat fatigued Jethro Wilkes retired to bed without too much thought for neatly folding his clothes, but scattered them about with abandon in an attempt to fit in with the more relaxed, tropical attitude. At the break of day, as the very first light seeped through his carefully sealed windows, Jethro lazily rolled on his back and suddenly froze. There, coiled up on the top of his carefully erected mosquito net, with its hideous head drooping down over the edge, was Jethro's worst nightmare. A snake. Hardly daring to breathe, Jethro slid stealthily out of bed, grabbed his trusty cricket bat, and silently approached the dreaded reptile. He began to beat it furiously, over and over. After a while it was hard to determine in the semi-darkness exactly how much he had inflicted upon the wicked beast, but there it lay amongst the wreckage of his once pristine mosquito net, motionless. With heart pounding furiously and exulting in his near-death victory, Jethro rushed to fling open the curtains and flood the room with daylight. And there he saw it. His gravy-speckled second-best tie, half buried in the smashed wreckage of his mosquito net onto which he had flung it with such abandon the evening before. A few days later, Bobby and Robbie returned yet again to the Technode, but this time as representatives of a US government agency. And as such they delivered to a rather surprised Nigel Nickleby a purchase order from the US Defense Department for 6,500 long-reach solar-driven precision light beam cutting units with a delivery time of 2 months, if you please. That was Banania. Please subscribe via Apple Podcasts or your favourite podcast provider. And for more information, visit bananiapodcast.com.